Hey, happy Friday afternoon. Good afternoon. It is 2:33, October 10th, Friday afternoon, going to a big weekend. And today I wanted to just chat a little bit about the history of digital retailing as it relates to the history of desking and ePencil and into Dealmaker. So to give you just a little history, back in the mid-90s, when I was selling cars at a Toyota dealership in the Tampa market, the way that we were desking deals was pretty standard. We didn't talk payments. We used the back of a worksheet. We did kind of a modified Foursquare, and we would talk difference, and we'd throw customers in the box if and when they wanted to talk about financing. And as I kind of evolved in my career, I was exposed to Grant Cardone and the Cardone sales process. And one of the things that he talked about, which I really loved back then, was the idea of providing customers with estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. What a great word track. And when customers would come into the dealership and say, hey, I want to get the best price on a Camry, hey, no problem, be happy to do that. What I'd actually like to do is give you estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. Is that something you'd be interested in today? And I think that word track is underused today and not really recognized for how powerful it is. And what we're looking at today, and actually let me pop back over here. What we're talking about today is the way to use information overload and the way customers are buying vehicles online today, and that transition into a dealership showroom experience, and how important it is to have a segue between what's happening on your dealership website and what's happening into the dealership showroom. And all of this for me really ties back to the idea of that simple word track. No problem. I'll be happy to give you estimates of down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. Now, back in the very late 90s, 1999 to be specific, from the dealership that I was at, I was asked to take on, and is really my first management position within that dealership, to take on a business development center. It was something that the dealership had opened just previous to that and asked me to come in and kind of revitalize it. Of course, this is an early internet sales department and a BDC in the late 90s, where we took internet leads, we took incoming sales calls, and we did outbound prospecting, and we did unsold showroom follow-up. And as I was developing processes for that business development center, what continually came to mind was that idea of estimates of down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. So in addition to that key word track, there was another idea that I was exposed to pretty early on. And that was this idea of when a customer would call into the dealership, kind of with that same question, hey, I want to get a best price on a Camry. No problem. Be happy to give you estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. And the idea was fast faxing, where we would be from the business development center or as a salesperson taking that incoming sales call, is that we would respond with some information that could be sent to the customer via fax. Of course, we would also do it via email, but fast faxing was the idea. And what we were going to provide the customer was estimates on down payment, monthly payments, and figures on their car, using this information overload as a way to allow the customer to kind of enter into the sales process. So with my experience with computer technology back in the late 90s and a really good understanding of Microsoft Excel, what I created was a worksheet that could be sent to customers via fax or via email and provide the customer with estimates of down payments, monthly payments, and figures on their car as a way to get the customer to come into the dealership. And actually, I can share with you an example of what one of these worksheets that looks like right here. You can actually see this is from Toyota Quality Experience, TQE, and that this is the dealership that I was at. Let's actually look at. So we were selling new 1999 vehicles, and customers were trading in 1994 vehicles. So this really was the early prototype of what became an ePencil desking worksheet. So we look at it, it still is kind of a modified four square. We have the price discount up here. We have the trade over here in one of the other quadrants. In this case, we have retail payments and we have lease payments. So when a customer would call into the dealership and they would ask for the best price on a Camry, hey, no problem, we're a full service dealership here. Actually, what I'd like to do is give you estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. Are you driving a Toyota now? Actually, I am. I'm driving a 94 Camry. Great. How many miles do you have on it? So it's a great way to move the customer along into the sales process. And at the end, we would move into scheduling an appointment. And then this would be the appointment confirmation fax that we would send to the customer. Now, what ended up happening is that customers who would call into the dealership as a phone up, and we would go through our process and we would use information overload. We'd use the idea of estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car to schedule an appointment. We would then send this customer a worksheet just like this one right here. But what they would end up doing is they would bring this in to their appointment and they would already have their payment circled. So that's something that wasn't necessarily something that we had anticipated, but once we had customers coming into the dealership with this worksheet and the payments already circled, the experience for the customer was very easy. They had a VIP experience. They could say, hey, I called the dealership and I talked to David in the BDC. This is the car that I want to buy. This is the payment I want. I want to pay for the vehicle here. And then all the salesperson would have to do is go find the car, take it for a test drive, sit them down. From that evolution, what we decided to do is, as a dealership, is we started to desk deals with that computer worksheet. Now, we had already been using the idea of multiple payments in a desking scenario. So like I mentioned earlier, when we would present figures to a customer, we would typically, when I first started at the dealership, we would only talk difference and then throw the customer in the box to talk about payments. What we migrated to is using the back of that worksheet and using a grid for payments, down payments, monthly payments, providing the customer with estimates of down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. What I did is I took that idea with what I developed for the BDC and created a solution that we can use for desking deals. And actually, there is a video, and this will be a fun experience. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick here. I'm going to go over to YouTube. Let's go into YouTube and let's go ePencil intice. Let's see if we can find this video. Oh, there is my live video right there. Look at that. Me live watching this video right now. So this is, I think this is the video right here. And in this video, I don't know if it's that one or not. Let's see. Yeah, here it is right here. You'll love this one. So, the opposite of any. Let's go ahead and mute this. Let's go ahead and play through this commercial. So what we're looking at right here is we're looking at a video that I created going back a few years. This was 4 years ago. But what's really cool about this is that it brings up some video content of a video that was produced. There it is right there. That brings up a video. So that's me from 4 years ago. And then that's me in 2000 talking about ePencil, using transparency into the sales process, using a desking solution. This was used by Toyota Quality Experience to share with other dealerships on what they can do to leverage transparency into the sales process, moving away from the typical Foursquare, moving away from the obfuscation, moving away from not sharing any information, and moving into the trend of sharing information. So this is 25 years ago, right? And we still have dealers today that are looking at obfuscating and saying, I can't give you any information. You have to come into the dealership. So this is kind of a history of what that looks like. So coming back over here, getting back to the story. So we started to use a desking solution that I wrote in just using Excel, and then realized that, hey, this is really something kind of cool. Let's see if we can't evolve this. So I actually went to Barnes & Noble, grabbed a couple programming books, sat down over the next 6 months, wrote the first version of ePencil. Now, how that evolved, and I'll actually share this with you real quick. It evolved, first of all, into something like this. This is more like the desking solution based on Excel, calculating all these payments. And then this is what it transitioned into the first computer program. This is ePencil. ePencil we used at a handful of dealerships early on. And then with this version of ePencil, which I actually called Quick Pencil back in the day, we then moved this into teaming up with Grant Cardone and bringing this product to the marketplace, supported by the Cardone sales process, which kind of was one of the things that was used to inspire why I created this in the first place so many years ago. And as you can see, if you're using a desking solution right now that looks similar to what this is right here, this is the very first version of an electronic worksheet that provided full transparency into the sales process and using our 9-payment grid. And it's that 9-payment grid that now that we've continued to evolve with Dealmaker. So let's talk a little bit about Dealmaker. Dealmaker is a digital retailing technology that I've created with my company, Intice. And it is the cornerstone of what is built into the customer experience on Intice 360, which is our full website solution. So by sharing my screen real quick, what we're going to do right over there is we are going to look at Dealmaker on an Intice 360 website. So I started the development of Dealmaker back in 2018. It was about a year later in 2019 that I realized that dealers don't need any more widgets. What they need is a full website solution that has all of the lead generation technology built in. And that's how I came up with Dealmaker as the cornerstone for the Intice 360 website solution. What you're looking at right here is just a prototype, our Intice 360 prototype website, but I'm going to use this as an example to look at the Dealmaker technology. And we're just going to focus on Dealmaker today. So what we're seeing right here is a native button that is built inside the Intice 360 website. It is not a widget that gets added with a script. We don't allow scripts to go on our website. We only have this native incorporated solutions that's going to open up to our lead technology. So from here, we use this payment, which is a real payment that gets calculated every single day for every vehicle, and it's going to use all of the real incentives, taxes and fees, all of that. But to launch into the digital retailing technology, I just click into that. And with this solution, you can actually see that this is a tool that is built right into the fabric or framework of our Intice 360 website. Right now you can see that we're dimming the background. We're blurring it a little bit to try to give it that effect that it is very modern. You actually have the ability to change how this looks. Right now we have it set up like this. Another thing that you'll notice real quick is that I have first name, last name, email address, phone number, and zip code. It's already in there. So that is a big part of our overall solution, where it's automatically going to pre-populate that data based on a previous experience. And from here, another thing that we have, which I'm going to do, is I'm going to make this go into what we call showroom mode. And that's going to become apparent and why it's important in just a little bit. But to do that, we have this little back door. Click that icon right there. Put in a special code. And that logs me in. Logs me in and puts me into showroom mode. You can see right up there. The experience for the customer is basically going to be the same as I navigate through this experience. And I can probably zoom this up to make it even fit a little bit better in the video screen. Yeah, look at that. So I'm just going to keep it a little bit bigger. Okay, so the first thing is that we're going to convert this customer into a lead. So we do our lead gating right up front. Customer enters this information, and then we get into the next step. So regardless of what happens from the customer at this point going forward, we have their customer information. We've converted the customer into lead, which is the first and foremost, most important thing that we're doing with our lead generation technology. Is we're creating the opportunity. That was the meet and greet. That was, hey, welcome to XYZ Toyota. My name is David. What can I get you a price of information on today? And then we move into that meet and greet. So we're doing that right up front. Now what we're seeing right here is just like our sales process, we've moved a trade appraisal into step 2. So we're going to find out about the trade before we move into the presentation of figures. And this is actually part of our express cash offer system. Now, to illustrate this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over to open up a new tab. I'm going to go to, let's just go to another dealership website. Let's go into a used vehicle inventory. It always happens with being logged in. I am going to select a newer vehicle. Let's go with the 2024. I'm going to grab this VIN number. Actually, I'm going to grab, I want to go with, I like going with the Honda. So let's go with a Accord. So I'm going to grab that VIN, got 12,000 miles on it. Let's go ahead and close that down. Now, the customer has the ability to enter in a VIN, enter a plate number, which we convert into a VIN, and then get a real value, or enter the year, make, model. A lot of dealers think that the customer is not going to be willing to provide the VIN number, or it's too hard for them to get the number. But the reality is that most customers will just open up their insurance app on their phone, copy, and then come over here and paste. And the customer knows that if they want to get a real offer for their vehicle, they have to give the dealership the VIN number so they know what vehicle it is. The customer is going to make the assumption that the dealer can give a real offer based on a VIN or a plate number, because Carvana and AutoNation and CarMax have spent tens of millions of dollars over the last few years to educate customers that they can get a real offer just by providing that VIN or their plate number. So I'm going to do the same thing here, enter in my VIN number. I'm going to add this as a trade. So I'm a customer going through this digital retailing experience. Now, what we do, which might be a little bit different than other solutions, is we want to remove friction from the customer's experience. We want to make it as quick, easy as possible to get to the digital retailing experience, the payment part of the process. And we want to be able to build an experience that is going to work really well once a customer comes into the dealership showroom to complete the purchase transaction. And so what we do, instead of asking the customer 50 different questions, Do you have two keys? Do you still have the warranty manual? Have you ever had any damage done to the vehicle? Have you smoked in the vehicle? You know, a list of questions that a customer can ask. What we do is we ask one, and then we work through the process. So the one question we ask is, hey, we want you to rate the vehicle. I say my vehicle is pretty awesome. And if I don't know if it's pretty awesome, I'm going to click this button right here, and it's going to tell me has minor cosmetic defects, excellent mechanical condition, may have some body work or touch-up paint, will need cleaning, but nothing major. Under the hood is clean, where there's no engine leaks, no rust, no body panels, blah, 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 blah. So this is what it means to be a 3-star vehicle. And if I continue down this process, if the vehicle comes in and it's a 2-star vehicle, then the dealership has a built-in legitimate way to make movements in that trade value up or down based on the actual condition of the vehicle. So I'm going to say 3. I'm going to click next. Next, it's going to ask me a few more questions. Now, this is kind of the magic of the way that we have this built in. If we weren't able to decode all the way down to the year, make, model, trim, hard adds, and deducts, our hard adds or deducts are going to show up right here. Now, the technology that we use and the partners that we use in our technology stack is going to allow us to tap into a ever-changing database of over 17 million different records, using artificial intelligence and machine learning to do exactly that 40% more often than without this type of technology. So in most cases, we don't even have to deduct a hard add, or we don't have to make a modification for a hard add or a hard deduct. It's automatically built in just by the VIN number. Now, we do allow the customer to opt in and provide additional information, such as it doesn't include 2 keys or remotes, or it doesn't include the maintenance records. Why this is important is if a customer comes in and they go through the trade process and they don't have 2 keys or remotes, that is something that the dealership could use to devalue the vehicle if needed, because keys today are very expensive. And then also things like insurance has paid repair claims. If they didn't provide that information, then you could legitimately reduce the value of the vehicle because it's going to have a reduced value. So in this case, I'm just going to go next. And then right here, this is where we take the customer through a trade payoff wizard. Now this button right here looks gray in our UI there, but it's actually a nice green button. And it's going to ask, do you want to look up your trade payoff as reported to the credit bureau? No social security number or date of birth needed, and an inquiry will not go on your credit report. So I can enter into that, enter my information and get a real payoff, or I can just enter the value. So I'm just going to say, no, I'm just going to enter an I owe 20 grand on this car. Boom. Now it gives me the express cash offer. So we're fully transparent. We give one number that we can use in the trade evaluation. And if we need to make an adjustment once a customer comes into the dealership, we legitimately have a reason to do it. So kind of the best of both worlds. I'm going to hit next. And you can actually see here's a 3-star value. A 1-star value is 22, so $1,500 less. We can actually build in a matrix type of pricing that has your pricing in mind. If you want to have a bigger gap between 3 stars and 1 star, you want to be a little bit heavier on the vehicles that you want to buy. You want to be a little bit lighter on the vehicles that you don't want. We have full capabilities of building that used vehicle pricing profile for our dealers. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with my 3-star value. I click next. Now I do have the ability to upload images into the system, and I clicked next a little bit too soon. I'm going to pop back here. I'm going to update the trade. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go next again. There's that value. Next. I'm going to go ahead and click next again. I'm going to try not to click next now. I did it again. So this actually is where a customer has the ability to upload images into the system. We're going to go right into this solution here. So this is the desking solution. Now I pop back over here. And what do we have? We have Actually, we go back in time. We go back in time 26 years to 1999. What do we have? We have a 9 payment grid with estimates on down payments, monthly payments, and figures on your car. So we're doing the same thing today with our Dealmaker technology that we did with ePencil and Quick Pencil 25, 26 years ago. But we have our 9 payment grid right here. We have our down payment, our term, down payment and term, $2,500 down, 2537, 3537, 4537. This is very important because this is how we can move customers to explain how payments actually work. The longer that a customer finances and the more money down that they put, the lower their payment is going to be. So if we're at 344, the customer wants to be at 310, one way of doing that would be to um, put more money down. If they don't want to go 72 months, the customer can just click right on the 60-month. It's going to reshuffle and recalculate those payments and bring in more options. We're always going to drop the customer's preferred payment in the bottom left-hand corner of the 9 payment grid. And you can see now we're 48, 54, and 60 months. We're 60 months, 60 months, and 60 months. But now we're 2,500, 3,500, and 4,500. So this is how we can present offers and payments to customers. A few key things that I can do also right here is I can flip this over to a lease deal. So this really becomes almost like a desking solution right in a digital retailing tool where I can flip between lease payments and loan payments. I can change my miles per year. If I want to go 12,000 miles per year from 10,000 miles per year or 15,000 miles per year. And I can also go from a 695 credit score to something maybe that is more appropriate, like 800. And that's going to then change the payment based on that credit score. As a customer or as a person in the dealership, I mean, I can actually use this as a desking solution. I can actually create a presentation to customers where we can use this digital retailing technology as a way to put numbers together for my customer. Now, I can also, let's say the customer says, well, I only want to put $1,500 down. No problem. We're a full service dealership here. We can obviously put together payments based on $1,500. We have our trade balance. You can see our trade offer, our trade balance. Let's say the customer does let's say that we walked around the vehicle. The customer thought it was a 3-star vehicle. It's actually a 2-star vehicle. We can adjust it right there. We can also see if the customer qualifies for any additional rebates, incentives, offers, etc. And we can do that right here. So right now we have this Honda Civic lease offer added to the vehicle. So this is a non-conditional offer, and these are conditional offers. Non-conditional offers, we can see right there, just by hovering over that, it's going to say that this is a finance offer. Captive lease cash must be disclosed as cap cost reduction assistance on a HFS lease contract. Cannot advertise and market, but we can apply it to the deal. So the customer has that availability there. And there's a few other incentives that might be available for the customer, such as a lease conquest or a lease loyalty. If we're not sure what that is, you can see right there. And this is all getting pulled in live. So this really becomes a very powerful desking solution because all of that stuff is already baked in. It really gives the power of a full desking solution right to a customer as they're going through their own digital retailing journey on your dealership website. Now, once I get this dialed in, it's just like I want. Let's say that I want to go back to a finance deal. It's going to remember where I picked up. You can see that I can actually extend this out. Let's say I do want to go out to 72 months. I'm $368 a month. That's beautiful. That's where I want to be. Then I can go, before I go next, I actually want to share with you this little button right here. So this is Dealmaker. So this is our digital retailing technology. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller because I wanted to show you something real quick. So as this loads up, so this is going to create a PDF version of the desking worksheet that you can use in a digital retailing experience. This is going to include all of the full transparency into the sales process. You can see here that we also include vehicle service contract, guaranteed auto protection, prepaid maintenance, and tire and wheel, and window tint. I'm going to share with you how that gets added in just a moment. But this right here, you can see we have the $368 a month payment selected with $1,500 down. And then we have estimated payment with products, $474. So that's adding these F&I products to the deal in this desking worksheet. And of course, you can see the desking worksheet is going to be very similar to what we're looking at right over here, which we're going to come back to in a second. So let me come back over here. I'm going to go ahead and close this, come back here. Now, if I went to the next step, you can actually see the way that we have this set up is we have all of our finance products. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger again so you can see it a little bit better. So we have our finance products here. So this is a full functioning finance menu right in a digital retailing tool. You can see we have different options for an 84 month, a 66 month, a 60 month, 72 months, whatever. So these are fully decoded for this individual VIN for that vehicle. Now, if a customer doesn't know what vehicle service contract means, of course, we can say that's platinum protection, provides the most protection, offers blah, 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 blah. Also, I have this nice little video right here. So I'll just play a few seconds of it while I drink a cup of coffee.
As a car owner, you know that unexpected repairs can be expensive and leave you feeling frustrated. But what if there was a way to protect your vehicle from these unexpected costs? Introducing the Vehicle Protection Package, also known as a vehicle service contract.
Cool. So we got a full video, we got other information. We can even link out to manufacturer content for this offer. So this is all part of the customer's journey as they're going through their digital retailing experience. Now, as a customer, I can opt in of what I want, what I don't want. I don't want a vehicle service contract, let's say. What is gap insurance? I don't know what gap insurance is. Now, this system can tell me what gap insurance is. Nice, simple explanation, not going too deep into the details, but exposing the customer to the benefits and features of a solution. All right, so I'm 32 minutes on this video. I tried to keep them 30 minutes or less, so we're going to go ahead and get things wrapped up. But so what I can do is I can proceed with estimates without products. Click on this Dealmaker worksheet again. Now it's going to give me a worksheet without those products built into that worksheet. So this is going to look a lot like what we see over here. Actually, that lines up almost perfectly, doesn't it? That's kind of magic. I didn't even plan on that, but that's really cool. All right, so this is the Dealmaker worksheet, full transparency into the process, the vehicle that they want to buy, the 2022 Honda Accord with 40,000 miles that they're replacing. We have estimates with for retail purchase process or for loan payment options, and we have some lease payment options as well with multiple down payments, multiple terms. All I need you to do, Mr. Customer, is let me know which one is going to work best for you. Give me your okay right there, and we'll get the vehicle ready for immediate delivery. So these are great tools, technologies, techniques that you can use in your digital retailing experience, fully baked into our express cash offer. That has the fully baked in process of our express cash offer technology for the trade evaluation, a full featured digital retailing technology in Dealmaker, and fully baked into an intice 360 website. So you don't have to use one product provider for the website, another product provider for a digital retailing technology or a trade tool, or we'll get you pre-qualified tool, or completing a credit application. All of this fully baked into the intice 360 website solution. If you're a dealer that is maybe making a consideration of wanting to look elsewhere for something that is new, that is fresh, that is different than the long-standing website providers in the marketplace right now, I would urge you to give us a call. Of course, you're going to find this video and many others at intice.com.